Are you sure you're ready for me to read it again, Aaron?
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
3,
Oh shoot, are you
2.
going from the top?
I'm going from the top.
Did you just read that whole thing?
Okay, here we go.
Oh.
Ready? I'm going again. The Book of Hebrews.
Can you read it as Christopher Walken?
A. What do we know about the author? Formally, it's anonymous, traditionally Paul, but it's unlike his other letters, and he doesn't claim it, and the early church doubts it. It's most likely Barnabas. Could be Luke, but because of the high-quality Greek and Hebrew, like his Gospels and priestly overtones, or Apollos, unlikely because he wasn't suggested until after their Reformation. We do know it was a second-generation Christian, well-versed in the LXX.
Septuagint.
What?
The Septuagint.
In the Septuagint, likely that the readers were Jewish Christians, highly literate. Who were the recipients, and what was the danger in threatening them? The Jewish Christians in Palestine or Rome facing a call for separation from Judaism. What is the purpose? A word of exhortation to hold fast to the real thing and not the shadow, rejecting God's whole plan. How does the author go about making his case for the supremacy of Christ? See book outline 1 handwriting class? Christ is better than. What are the distinctives of the book of Hebrews? Christ is our high priest. Christ's intercessory role, empathetic high priest, mercy as a result, how of faith, a belief that God is faithful, rewarder of those who serve him all of life, stands under God's judgment. Doesn't matter how you see your life, it's how he sees it. God's discipline, training for holiness, and finally of God's work, sitting because his work is done. The book of James. In what sense did James stand on his own feet? Question mark. Question mark.
Hey, we talked about this today, where like James, apparently he talked about it in class. James was the brother of Jesus, but he didn't like use that for like the basis of his like authority. He made a name for himself, and he didn't just like use the fact that he was related to Christ to get him popularity.
Well, there you have it, I guess. Who were the recipients, and what was the occasion of the letter? Refugees that were scattered throughout Judea and Samaria, and the occasion was direction and encouragement in the face of persecution, possibly following Stephen's stoning. What is the purpose and the theme of James? He holds them to a high moral standard, as if they were really believed God would follow him in the hard times. Purpose, pastoral admonition for a scattered flock. And theme, a focused Christian life. What does James mean by a double-minded man? He is the bad guy and the one who doesn't trust steadfastly in God. What are the distinctives? In particular, be prepared to answer questions from the chart on trials and maturity. Also, be able to explain the tongue as more than just the thing between our jaws. Faith, works, parentheses. There will be an observable dimension of faith, close parentheses. Trials and maturity, dash. All circumstances happen for our growth and his glory. The fiery tongue, dash. Communicative capacities, slash. The only way to control your tongue is to get at your soul, comma. You cannot manage it from the outside. Contact with Jesus' teaching, dash. More of Jesus' teaching straightforwardly, other than in the Gospels.
Can I read one?
Yes, you may read them.
First Peter. Describe Peter's Christian life. Another Joel.
prediction, spiritually perceptive and forward and backward, died as a martyr under Nero. Not long after the book was written, he was crucified upside down.
Who were the recipients and what was the occasion?
The occasion was the first time in history that Christians were persecuted as Christians, recognized as a distinct sect from Judaism.
How did Peter want the believers to respond to persecution?
Certain of their future salvation.
What was to be the foundation which would take them through the troubles of life?
Christ and their salvation.
Note and explain distinctions.
From avenging angel to suffering servant, Christ, as he suffered to embracing the suffering. Holiness in all spheres of life, husband, wife, citizen, ... Real living in the face of difficult circumstances.
Oh, you want me to take this one? Okay. I need a new voice. Okay. The book of 2 Peter. Of what? Was Peter a witness? And how does his eyewitness account of this event function in the book? The witness of the transfiguration. Recipients and nature of the occasion. To believers, they were impatient with the God and certain about the Lord's return. Parenthesis. While living Maranatha mindset, comma, and they didn't. Close parenthesis, comma, and under attack from internal sources. Purposes and their explanations, especially the growth process. Stimulate growth / the growth process. Possibility for growth - faith. Means for growth is knowing God. Facilitator the Holy Spirit. Forms virtues. Outcome fruitful. Arm for combat. Undergird certainty of Christ's return. Distinctives and their explanation. Inspiration. Canon. 3:15. Paul's letters and scriptures. 3:2. Other apostles' writings. God's patience until he returns. Take it away.
Jude. Note the occasion, theme, and the purpose. Okay, like occasion, internal opposition, cancer in the body. Theme, the perils of perverting grace. Purpose, contend for the faith. Note and explain the distinctives. The faith once delivered, there was a rule of faith, a common core teaching. Mercy in separation. Know where people are in their faith. May not be open to Christ. God's sovereignty / my responsibility. Divine sovereignty is never dismissive of human responsibility in Scripture.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Johanna Pittles!
Oh, you're on John.
What? John. What is the force of John's designation of himself as beloved disciple? He levels himself as one of those that Jesus loved. The reason why the author is not Peter or Thomas is because Peter talks to the beloved disciple and all the others were spoken about. What is the possible dual nature of John's purpose statement? Question mark? Question mark. What is the significance of John's reference to Jesus as the Word? Jesus presents himself as the definitive revelation of God, as God in the flesh. How does Jesus' reference to himself as the I am in chapter 8 inform the other I am statements.
Emphasis on I is a twofold purpose. 1. Coming to believe in the terms of conversation, and 2. Continue to believe that God, Jesus Christ, is the Son of God.
What is the focus of Jesus' high priestly prayer, and who does he pray for?
Jesus intercedes on behalf of all who believe in him. Final definitive proof of the reality of Christ.
Johannine Epistle portrayed John as a person. Black and white man in a gray world, walking in the light or in the darkness. No room for indifference. Gentle father, touch, tough love. Metaphors for children. Pastoring people with the backdrop of the end of the first century.
What was the occasion, especially the focus of the speech?
Some have left the churches, antichrist laws. False teachers are active, pastors, fathers, gatekeepers to those under their care, not letting wolves in with the sheep. Head-to-head conflict to test the spirit of a person is to ask what they believe. Battle for the truth. False teachers denied the human Christ, the incarnation essential to the gospel proclamation, which is denying Christ, and then there's no hope for present salvation. Claim to be above sin, misrepresent the truth of human existence, possibly rooted in the false dichotomy between matter
It's dichotomy.
and spirit, good dualism. Claim to be the spirit beings because they touched Christ.
General purpose and distinctives of individual books.
Purpose, faith, and works. Distinctive, 1 John, test the fellowship. Do they confess that Christ became in the flesh? Do they holistically care for their brothers? Sin is sin. 2 John, faith conservation court. Holding on to truth that transcends their moment. Life is final. Doorbell discernment. Don't take someone into your home in a way that promotes their heresy, especially if they're trying to operate under the name of Christ.
Last but not least,
We have the book of Revelation.
explain the interpretive approaches to the book.
Preliminal.
Revelation relates to the life of the church. God will ascend literally, earthly throne. Amillennial rejects the idea of a literal 1,000-year reign of Christ after his return at the end of the age. It seems the millennium as being fulfilled in a spiritual fashion, in the ministry of Christ during the present age. Postmillennial. The world will eventually be won for Christ through the actions of the church. The world will have been kingdomized. Are John's letters to the 7 churches references to periods in church history or to actual churches of John's time? And why would you answer one way or the other? They are letters to the real church because Dr. Kauser says so. What was the occasion and who were the recipients? Occasion, John's in exile, and the churches under persecution. Emperor worship. Recipients, the churches in Asia Minor. What are the characteristics of apocalyptic literature?
Apocalypse.
Whatever. It's all about where you put the emphasis. Rich symbolism. Old Testament imagery, numbers, creatures, etc. Dualism, struggle between good and evil, comfort and anchorage, the righteous remnant, encoded to hide, massage from persecutors, asterisk, asterisk.